They're crazy, Jay!
Jumping out of airplanes. Up there, you thought you had a chance. But hermano, look at me. Down here. Look me in the fucking eye. I rule this fucking kingdom. Down here, you hit the ground.
I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible.
How'd you like that, huh? When someone fights back! Oh, go if you want! This is my ground now! This is where they die!
Sometimes we paint the bars of our own prison.
Before we go into the ranking, you could just skip ahead if you don't care about the rules, but I'm going to define kind of how I approached this. I don't limit any franchise. I just put what characters maybe weren't my favorite, but I respected as characters and what they brought to games. There will be characters on this list that are pieces of garbage. There are people that are as sweet as they can be. It's just how much I think about it. This is all based on up until the end of 2025. That's when I decided to do the cutoff. So any like new storylines for characters, there's a certain character that's on this list that has a new game coming out. I'm not taking that one into account because he's not, just spoiled it a little bit. It's not out yet. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what it is, but maybe when this comes out, it will be out, but I don't know that right now. It's up to the end of 2025. Also, there's some franchises that just won't make the list, or there's games I haven't played. I'm only one person. I'm not going to put someone on a franchise that, I just don't play. So, Dragon Age. Unfortunately, I've only played the Veilguard. No Veilguard characters are making this list, so no Dragon Age characters are making this list. Finally, iconic status is, I don't take that into account at all. That means nothing to me. Mario isn't going to be on this list because he's Mario. That motherfucker is not a character, and I'm not going to put on a list for just being Mario, okay? Respectfully, who thinks about Mario, okay? So, that's enough rambling. These videos are probably all going to be very long, so let's go straight into it. Last thing I forgot to mention, expect heavy spoilers for every single game on this list. I'm not going to shy away from talking about events or deaths or anything that happens to these characters. So if you see a character on this list from a franchise you want to play or you're interested and you're scared for spoilers of it, just skip through it or mute it. You're at risk, okay? I'm putting you at risk, buddy.
You killed me! Ripping dogs like you! Here's Henry!
We got the hungry boy Henry of Skalitz. Kind of low, I feel like, for Henry as a character. So I'll start off with what the problems can be of these type of games and where I think KCD2 kind of has the issue of the character being more of a tool to learn about the world than like an actual character. Because sometimes in KCD2, I feel like there's long periods where there's not much growth with Henry or even side quests or like meaningful story moments for him. So that's probably why he would fall lower on this list. But I had a great time with Henry. I haven't played the DLCs yet for KCD2. One day I'll check those out. But his story, while feeling like there needs to be one more final game to hit that end for him, I really have enjoyed where we've gone. Especially in 2, when we were doing the story beats and he's grappling with the things he's done and wanting to get revenge versus moving on, and his family and his father and his actual father who's still alive, but he's not his father that raised him, and his mother. And then he's also got to babysit Hans, who's constantly crying. And then later on, because KCD2 is such a fucking amazing game, they have a whole second map that you get like 30 hours in that is like the main map. Then you got love interest, and you could figure out which one thing I honestly, I didn't want to get with Catherine. That kind of just happened on accident in my game. I really enjoyed Henry with Rosa.
This is not how one carries a lady, you barbarian.
Maybe not in Kuttenberg, but it's how we did it in Skalitz.
But it's not very comfortable.
Just grin and bear it, my lady. We're almost there.
Henry does have his own personality that you can morph while playing the game. They give you control over it, but it's also, he is a well-defined character no matter what. It never felt like I could go a direction where Henry got bland. He was always fun. He might not be like the most interesting in every scene. Like, I think sometimes Hans can carry a scene, but Henry is like the rock character that you need in these stories. Henry can also be as interesting as you make him, because you can really morph him into a lot of different things. He can be a psycho, murderous killer if you want. And I killed a lot of people in KCD2, and my ending, my dead parents were mad at me because of all the people I killed. But I say, fuck you, you're dead, so it doesn't matter. But he can also be simple. He cannot have any book knowledge. I read a lot of books, but in the first game, I wasn't really reading books. So he was like dumb as bricks in conversations a lot of time in 1, whereas 2, he became a high scholar, and he was educating people, and he was beating people up because I got good at the combat in the game. And I don't want to talk about just how much I love that game, because that's for when I do my top 100 games. But the game, as an RPG, also just works perfectly with how Henry can develop as a character. And they give you real freedom to have expression with him. And I appreciate that a lot. The one thing that will be constant in any playthrough you do for Henry is he will bitch to you about food. But besides that, he can be a lot of different things during any given playthrough. Characters in KCD2 don't treat Henry as some sort of god or something that he shouldn't be, when in other games, maybe you just are a random person, but you'll go into a town and everyone seems to like glaze you and love you, and they don't really treat you in a like actual authentic way. For Henry, he can run into people that will scam him, get him drunk, roofie him, just call him a piece of shit, scream at him, they'll be mean to him, and there'll also be nice people. Just depend on the interaction he's getting, and it felt very authentic just in conversation and as a whole for the world. Henry was not treated as some gold standard individual who everyone looked up to without even knowing. And that, I think, makes Henry a very standard bloke character, an easily relatable character, and I'm excited to see him rise up the food chain a little bit more in the third game.
I spend all this time chasing you, and you die in your sleep. You'll burn in hell forever for what you did. What happens now?
I'll be okay. You can let go now. You have to let go. Sofna. Afra. Tesu. Sofna. Ethon. Sofna.
Now, I know Atreus gets a lot of flack, and he's not the fan favorite, and, like, I'm right there with you. There are plenty of God of War characters I like more than Atreus, but obviously Atreus makes this list, so I'm not negative on him. And I do enjoy him as a character. Now, I don't know if I'm down for him to carry the torch. I would almost probably rather see the God of War saga end than anyone other than Kratos carry the torch, if I'm being honest. But as a son to Kratos, I think he works beautifully in both games. Can he be a prick sometimes, specifically in the first game when he's got that Loki rage in him? Yes. But I would argue you're supposed to think he's just a shit sometimes, especially in 2018. I remember back when I was playing that game for the first time, and Atreus was like laying into Kratos. I think it was like on an elevator right before the dragon fight. I hated him so much, but he's not my kid, so fuck him. I have to understand though, Kratos gonna love him no matter what. And at the end of the day, he is a solid bloke, especially in Ragnarok. I think they do a lot of fun stuff. I'd say that's the game that really put him on this list. His connection with animals, I appreciate. I can relate to, and then his like drive to kind of find out who Loki is, what he is. I think it's understandable, and you can root for him in that sense. Is he going against Kratos a lot? Yeah, but sometimes Kratos is being a bit too overprotective of Atreus, and I think that is fair to say. And Atreus has so many questions about who he is, stuff that his mother wants him to figure out. So it's a very compelling storyline for him. And then also Atreus bridges gaps and builds relationships. Freya and Kratos are not the type of people that would instantly get along without Atreus being there to set that foundation. Or Brock and Sindri. Atreus builds these relationships with Kratos, who is a very more stoic, loner type character. Even Mimir. I don't know if Atreus is there at the foundation of that relationship, that Kratos and Mimir would be as close as they end up being. I personally believe if this was a franchise where the first game you experience is God of War 2018, but there's no pre-existing notions of who Kratos is or any of these characters, it's just father and son, I think Atreus would be a lot more beloved as a character, but it's like, that's a tough thing to live up to. You got everyone looking at Kratos, and then they're seeing you, and every time that controller goes on to Atreus, people are kind of like, fuck, man, I just want to be Kratos. But Atreus has some good segments, and he's also a great character. He's got compassion, he has some fire, but he's also the thing that really helps Kratos cool down and become a better person. So, I think Atreus deserves this spot. Yes, he can be a shit sometimes, but he's a kid. There are very few characters that are not a shit at some point, and when it's a kid, it's like, I don't know if I can think of a character in a game that's like not a shit at one point. That's a kid that I still enjoyed anyways. Like, it's just kind of what happens. Okay, his ass was like 12 or 13. Now, I couldn't summon thunder when I was 12 or 13, but I could shit.
We survive today because of your choices. Who to trust, who to call friend. Son, you are ready.
I should be out there, finding out who I am, who Loki is.
Trust is for fools. It shifts and crumbles like sand. A poor foundation for any partnership. But mutual self-interest, now that is a solid bedrock upon which you and I might build a new science of understanding.
The only Horizon character I personally decided to place upon this list, no diss against Aloy or any other characters. For me, Silence is just the one that stands out the most, and he earned his place here through his sick-ass voice that I cannot replicate, Guardian. I think he's always been the most intriguing character in the Horizon games because he will fight with the protagonist and he will also be right but maybe it's a motive issue with Silence, or like the ways he will obtain a goal usually conflict with how Aloy wants to do things. But Silence isn't just like evil or doing anything bad. Usually he will want the same result as Aloy, or they're fighting for similar causes. And the problem with Silence is he's more of a fuck them kids type individual. If he sees a car, he's driving through people to get to where he needs to go. He's not driving around them. Whereas Aloy will like swing around, flip the car upside down, do whatever she can and not hurt people. Silence isn't like that. He's a very cynical character. He's very rude. It feels like a bit of a mouse chase scenario with Aloy and Silence, where Silence just seems to always kind of know what to do to prevent Aloy to achieve her goals, or to just like be ahead of Aloy. He was always ahead of Aloy.
I see you've dealt with Hades.
Yeah. Think maybe you can stay dead this time?
It will. You can trust.
Trust?
Yes. Trust. As in, since I did what you could never do, and extracted all of Hades' priceless knowledge, you can trust that I was willing to actually let you destroy it this time.
And it was frustrating, but he was charming, and he's an asshole, but you like Silence to some degree, even if you think he's an asshole. Silence also has an underrated growth throughout this franchise. The version you meet of him in Horizon Zero Dawn is not the same version he becomes at the end of Forbidden West. And I think that is really shown through with the fact that he decided to stay with the crew, even if it was a bit of a last-minute call, because he did want to travel outward in pursuit of knowledge. And you can join me, Aloy. Ultimately, he decides to stick with them because he did bond with them, and he does, I think, in my opinion, see something we're fighting for, which wasn't his pure motivation before. Before the first game, and then a lot throughout the second game, his motivation seemed to me like pursuit of knowledge. Silence was such an obsessed individual of knowledge that he would constantly use others to obtain knowledge or to get closer to obtaining any. Whereas at the end of Forbidden West, he was able to stick his foot down and like, yeah, maybe he's there to like learn more still. He's good. He wants to stick with the people because there's something we're fighting for. And I think it's a beautiful arc for Silence as a character. One, also a great performance by Lance Reddick. It's a shame that there won't be a continuation in the third Horizon. I'm not sure what exactly they do with the character, but obviously Lance Reddick passed away, and I think there is an ending point for him, but there obviously would have been more if there was another game. So yeah, shout out Lance Reddick. Love me some Silence. I think he's purely been like the most interesting part of the Horizon games for me as like a character. Obviously the world's incredible and all that.
You can join me if you so desire. You've more than earned your place.
You're going to just take off? And abandon everything?
Hey, where's he going?
As far away as anyone can go.
Oh. Are you sure?
You're staying.
For a time. You people are going to need all the help you can get.
I am so fucking hungry. Even that dog turd looks tempting. It's like a big, fat sausage.
Audentis Fortuna Juvat. I'm gonna preface this. All the footage you'll be seeing of Hans is KCD2. Partly because that's the only one I record anything for, but also, that's the one where he really landed himself on this list. Not that he was bad in 1, but he was so hateable that the turn didn't really manifest for me in a super big way until KCD2. He's got a Jaime Lannister moment going on. You just hate this guy at the start. He's a prick. And especially because when I was playing KCD1, I was not good at fighting by the time I got to Hans. So he also beat my ass in front of everyone. So it wasn't a good feeling that Hans left in my mouth.
Fat sausage.
The journey you go on through him and being his bodyguard in a sense, and if he's the princess, you're the one who's going in castles and saving him literally a couple times. Or you just bond with him, and he's got a good heart. Yeah, he doesn't do the right thing all the time, and he's got an ego about him, and sometimes he'll be a poacher in the woods. Like, I literally, I went 20 hours without seeing him, then I just found his ass in the woods. He does some weird shit, and he's not necessarily the best person, but Hans is, one, a compelling character. Every scene where Hans is in, I want to hear him speak more, especially throughout 2. I think he ends up being a good lad, and then going into the third game, hopefully, you'll see even more growth with his wedding and all that sort of stuff. It's a great performance, and he's a great character. It was really easy for me to put him on this list. Hans is one of, if not the best character in this franchise, and I think he definitely goes to the most transformation over anyone, partly because, he's in both games, but also I just loved his arc. It's the classic, what a fucking asshole, to, what a lovely asshole. His asshole started smelling nice. I like the smell of it when I didn't before, so great journey for the Hans character.
Oh, Dentes Fortuna, fucking you, that. Jesus. You're only supposed to deliver a message to Trotsky. The most adventure I was expecting was a fuck or two.
I'm so happy to see you.
This pick, I feel like, is going to be one that no one would be able to predict if you're just like ranking a top 100. How the hell does the maiden from Lies of P make it? But when looking across the Souls-like type games, a lot of the characters, they have interesting lore, but like my experience in the game, none of them quite really make the list based off of that. It would be because I've like watched lore videos and that was a good story. But like when I'm playing the games, these characters aren't doing enough for me to really put them on the list. I'm talking about characters like Millennia. Out of all the Souls games, I think Sophia is probably the character I felt the most connected to out of any of them. Like, one, that ending of Lies of P where Sophia is getting placed in that puppet body, the Rise of P ending, that shit's emotional. The stuff you learn about Sophia, the torture she went through when you're learning that and how she just wants to die. I've never had a Souls game like really give me borderline close to crying watching a scene of this sweet companion who brought you to life, who like is making sure you succeed this mission through the gameplay and reverse of time. Like, Sophia is a powerful ass motherfucker that's getting abused, and she goes to you for help, and she believes in you so much she's gonna bring you back until you can get it done. And she ends up saying it's like because of not really even saving the world. It's like selfish reasons. She wants to die. Like, that is a tragic character.
I guided you this far, not to save Cropt, but to save me. I felt guilty about that. But I was so elated when you answered my call. Despite it all, I thank you. My spirit and my body have lived apart for too long. Perhaps in death, they will reunite in peace.
I really couldn't cut her from this list. A lot of characters, some characters would even be in the 80s and they end their way off the list. Sophia really never dropped. She kind of stayed stable in this spot, and especially when I was running through Lies of P again, gathering footage. Like, she is such a good character. She's to me, she's so underrated as like a Souls character. I think she needs to be talked about more for like how fucking just Lies of P as whole should be talked about more on the story level. Like, Souls games should learn from Lies of P and the way it constructed narrative around the puppets and giving you choice and how that reflected in gameplay. It makes me really excited for what they're going to do next with like Alice in Wonderland. Or not Alice in Wonderland. Wizard of Oz. Sorry. I'm very excited for it. Me personally, when it comes to these Firekeeper characters or maiden whatever you want to call them, the characters that upgrade you, usually I don't really care too much about them. But I thought Sophia was the one that felt the most actually relevant to what was going on and most genuine in like their nature, I guess, if that makes sense. The other ones I don't think about at all. I couldn't, gun to my head, I can't name another fucking Firekeeper character. Sophia, though, I'll never forget Sophia. And she was a G. She helped me through a lot of fights by bringing me back. I definitely died a lot, especially on that one motherfucker, that Laxasia. Arlecchino. It took a while. I'm sorry, Sophia. I don't know if that like drains your power when you have to bring people back that many times, but that shit took a while.
I was trapped for so long. So much torment. So much pain. Take my ergo. I'll be with you to the very end. It's so good to see you.
Oh. Hello. I'm Gale of Waterdeep. Apologies. Usually better at this. A bit shocked, but friend, it's a relief and a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Out of the origin characters, I think Gale probably feels the most like your, I don't know, good friend. Although sometimes, you know, he has these night conversations that think, aren't you supposed to be fucking with Mystra? Why are you trying to flirt with me? But that's a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 characters. Gale is a character that's introduced through a portal, you know, same thing as a lot of the other origin characters. He got the worm in his brain, but he also has a special condition. I mean, all of them kind of have a special condition, but Gale has a gameplay affecting one, where he's got an orb in his chest that feels like it's about to explode. And if you do not feed him some of your magic items, it will explode. I've never actually seen when that would happen if you just like never feed him anytime he asks. But it really happens earlier on in the game, and it can feel a bit like, Gale, fuck you. Because he's taken some of the better items in the game. It's never enough to where you're like actually being super affected by it, but sometimes it's like, I kind of like everything I have. I don't want to just give you some magic shit, but I also like you, so I'm not just going to let you explode. But I mean...
Oh, it's not so bad once you get used to it. And, on the plus side, my tower in Waterdeep has never been so free of clutter. Sincerely, though, I understand I ask a lot from you with few answers in return. But in time, all will be told.
Gale talks about his hubris being the reason he got this orb, and it kind of being a lesson. Like, he was trying to learn or earn the love of Mystra, the goddess, and in doing so, got this orb entrapped within him. And for me, we're going to go to ending here. My ending I prefer with Gale is where he doesn't go for in pursuit of power and reach God Gale mode. I know he looks cool in that mode. I've never gotten that ending because I enjoy the ending where he learns from his mistakes and goes back to being a professor, a teacher, and then one day in the future, you'll come in there with your companion, you'll give a lesson to a class, and it's all happy ending. And Gale learned from his mistakes, and he creates a bunch of other wizards that run around Waterdeep. In my playthrough of Gale, in the later half of the game, like I would say late Act 2 to a lot of Act 3, he does kind of feel like he's pushing to get the crown out of like desperation. He's still kind of in that mode, and that's when he's the most unlikable for me. Because it seems like he's not learning from what put him in this place of having this orb stuck in him.
The orb is no stray piece of ordinary magic. It is something entirely different. The nascent form of a new, divine power. Of course, I couldn't control it. I was mortal. But once I reforge the crown, the power of a god will be mine to command. The orb will answer to me.
Some people sacrifice Gale at the final battle. He gets an epic moment there. Or you can pretty much sacrifice him at any time, I believe. But it depends on what you do with Gale. Very insightful. Does have a bit of an ego with him, but I don't think it's ever like too much for me personally. A lot of the people in your group can have egos also. Gale just kind of comes off as a pretentious guy sometimes. Still, I really like Gale. He's a very fun character on the squad. Definitely carries a lot in battles. I really enjoy using him if we're just talking gameplay-wise, but that doesn't really affect the list at all. Shout out Gale, though.
There is so much to live for and so few moments in which to house it all. Damn you. Damn you for giving me so much to care about. Our friends, our adventures. This would have been so much easier if it was just me. But it isn't. If there is a way, any way, to save all that's grown dear to me, I want to seize it. I just cannot fathom what that might be, other than to fail Mystra and condemn the world. Stay with me, will you? I don't want to think of it anymore, but I don't want to be alone either. If this adventure has taught me anything, it's that there are things in this world far more valuable than power.
BJ Blazkowicz. This is one of the, I feel like, underrated, iconic characters that has been around in gaming. He's just a badass, but he has more depth than like a Master Chief or something. He's incredibly likable and way more complex than those characters that aren't like trying to fill as much of a role in the narrative as BJ is. BJ's a family man. He goes through a lot of hardship. And he's insanely rootable. Not only just because you're killing Nazis.
Death at the gates again. Howling my name. Come on in, old buddy. Sorry I made you wait.
My first experience with him was actually the second one when he's starting off in the wheelchair. So that was my opening to him. He's kicking himself, calling him a tin man, and he's like very down on how he feels. But you know, one thing that'll motivate that motherfucker is he loves killing Nazis. Another thing I thought the second Wolfenstein game did really well was like show the traumas of war and then also his childhood upbringing and all the downsides and how that affects him as a person. You learn the man that is killing all these Nazis. You learn how he works, why he's doing this, what he's fighting for. I mean, that's a bit more face value because you know you have your wife in the game. I think the most like impressive thing about this character is it fills in a role that usually I would find pretty generic. I wouldn't get that attached to. But even when I played this, like 2017, all the way back then, BJ has stuck in my mind as a character since then. And I've like been waiting to see the conclusion, the third game. I always found just BJ like a very easy character to like, despite how he might come across pretty generic. There's a lot more depth to him than I think he's given credit for. So that's how he ends up on this list.
But I know this. You take freedom away from the American people, you're playing with fire. And I intend to pour some gasoline. People gotta know they don't have to take this shit no more. And if nothing else, that's what I'm gonna do before I go. Lady, is that the best you got? Then your best won't do. You among wolves now. These are our words.
Profesh.
Are you serious? conference room.
So, you two fuck or what?
I'm recording this in November. I finished Dispatch like a week ago. So, I mean, maybe I cut this part out and she doesn't make it, but obviously if you've seen this, she ends up staying on the list because I really liked Invisigal as a character. And one thing, the first part I'm going to start off with is with this character, they're able to do a thing that doesn't happen too often in games where like I'm able to get constantly emotionally manipulated by a character and like fall for them lying to me constantly. It's mainly in like episodes 7 and 8. Invisigal was, you could say, not lying, just withholding the truth, but she was painting things to be one way when they weren't, and I would believe her. I'd be like, okay, I believe you. Oh, you better not do this to me again. I'll believe you. Because I just enjoyed everything that was leading up to that point with the Invisigal character, that I didn't want her to like, I couldn't think that she was actually working with them. That would have blown up everything. Then, when we get to the point where she betrayed, I'm like fucking freaking out. I'm pissed at her. I'm thinking like, this whole fucking time you were fucking working for them? Because that's how Shroud makes it sound. I'm going through a fucking, I'm losing my shit. And I'm saying shit like, I fucking hate you. You ain't never welcome on the Z team again. Fuck you, Invisigal. But then when I calm down, step back, it wasn't, I don't really look at it as like she was planning situation, but who her heart actually is, no, regardless of what she wants to believe, she has hero qualities. Now maybe she was a villain for a lot of it, and her heart has shifted to being that of a hero. That's how I interpret the ending of Dispatch. Obviously, this comes down to how you played your own experience, because there is a villain ending for the character. So my ranking of a character in a game like this is based off of my experience with the character. And I really enjoyed Invisigal, not only as like the love interest to Robert, but just like her arc. She represents Dispatch so well, like the Z team. She's the bottom of the pack on the Z team, and she is able to lift herself up into having the hero moment by the end of the game. You can tell there's a lot of self-doubt with her, and she does like some relatable themes that people could probably look at and say like, yeah, I've had moments like this where she kind of gives up and she just makes herself the easy option to be kicked out of the Z team, because that's a self-doubt issue, and she's going with that the whole game. There's the quote of like, I wish Blonde Blazer looked at me the way, or I wish you looked at Blonde, fuck off. I wish you looked at me the way Blonde Blazer, I wish you looked at me the way you looked at Blonde Blazer. And a lot of people think that's like a romantic thing. I don't personally see it like that at all. It's just like, she wanted that look as like, you're a hero. Whereas Robert doesn't really look at them at that point like that. He's a mentor, he's trying to lead them the right way, but he doesn't like, you don't have like a look like, damn, that's a hero-ass hero, until Invisigal really does it at the end of the game, I think, is when Invisigal sees that look from Robert. Maybe that's me just reading into it, but that's how I interpret it. Also, I enjoy when she is in her dickhead villain mode, or she's just talking about Robert fucking himself with Long John donuts.
Oh, you like a dick donut?
No. They're called...
You love big, long, cream-filled dick donuts. I got it, dude. You like your dick donuts up in your throat, in your ass.
There's a lot to Invisigal that's likable. Whether she goes the villain route or the hero route, I think people can be entertained by her, whatever route she decides to go. I think she's just a great character. That's where I have Invisigal. I think she is like the character that best embodies like the point of Dispatch. She is the worst on the Z team, and she ends up being the hero of the Z team. And yeah, I really connected with the story. She fucking threw me through I felt every damn emotion from this character, from extreme anger and vitriol to like, I fuck with you. You're on my Z team for life. I fucking love you. So yeah, that's the sign of a character that is great.
You don't get it. Some people are born to be heroes. I'm not one of them. I tried. Just wasn't meant to be. Being a villain is my fate. It's in the fucking stars. All I wanted from this was for you to look at me the same way you look at Blazer. Even if it was just once, you know? That'd have been enough.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Yes. You do. Told you to believe me.
You betrayed us, Farid. And for what? To those you serve, your life means nothing!
We got my GOAT, a guy that I kind of hate to have like barely on the list. It's Raul Menendez. This was probably my favorite villain in any game at one point, especially because Black Ops 2 is one of my first games. And Raul Menendez is such like a force of nature, and his anger and his speeches and the shit that's done to him, you understand, or you can see how he's inflicting on our peoples. He has a deep rage that comes from tragedy. I recently replayed Black Ops 2, mainly just because it's been like over a decade at that point. I wanted to see how much it hit, and it was 2025, and the story still hit exactly the same, and the main factor of that was Raul Menendez. From his global speeches that are trying to unite a fucking revolution to Cortes Dia Day, or to his invasions and the prophecies and the way he kind of talks, and you're looking at like the current climate in this world we live in, and you're like, he kind of know what he's talking about. At least it's aging quite well what he is saying. Not that I would follow him. I'm just saying, looking around what's happening, it feels a little BO2-esque. And I love that they put you in the hands of Menendez, and you get to like really feel that anger through the gameplay. Raul lost his father and sister both to the U.S., and I think that was a great motivation for fueling him into someone who's just purely out to see people suffer and really start a revolution, change things around here. And me personally, I prefer the ending where you kill Menendez and then the world goes into chaos. I think that's a perfect ending for BO2. At the time I'm making this, BO7 is not out. A sick part of my mind wants to play BO7 to see what happens, but also I don't like that they're touching the BO2 storyline. I like, of course they're gonna eventually, they're making so many Black Ops games, but BO2 is such a great, just kind of contained story. It doesn't really need BO1, doesn't need anything after. BO2 is just a solid game about Woods, Mason, and Menendez. Play that campaign. I guarantee you, Menendez will live on through your memory. He'll stick with you.
$11,000, that was the value they placed on our life. Murder me for Cortes Dia.
I was asked later to join a top-secret government program. Not that I had a choice. The training, punishing missions, nearly killed me. But at least I kept my mind off everything. If I could just forget what happened that night, the pain, even for a second. This time, it can be different. It has to.
This is the guy I was hinting at, I feel like very obviously at the start. Leon does crack the list. Might feel a little low in the grand scheme of things. The reason Leon isn't that high is honestly like Resident Evil as a whole. I think it has fun characters, but not the most complex characters a lot of time. And Leon isn't the most complex. A lot of time he's just kicking people and saying shit. He said his one-liners don't hit when you're playing a bad game. Like, my favorite campaign in RE6 is Leon's. But when Leon just is, like, standing there with a gun, he's like, enough is enough. That is such a shit line, Leon. Like, you ran out of lines. That being said, if he's not saying at least one cheesy one-liner in RE9, that is a failure, because that's a core part of his character, is just chatting bullshit. Despite all that, he's got a good heart. He progressively moves up the ranks throughout the Resident Evils, where he starts as a rookie police officer to someone that was friends with the president, and he killed him. Oh my god. But that journey has always been interesting. And to give RE6 some credit, that game felt like it was Leon's game more than anyone. That's the one they kind of push you to play first. He's the one that's got the most interesting stuff going on. I think his campaign's the longest, at least for me, it took the longest. And it also has the most interesting side character. And it's got the final fight with the dude, and it connects to the I believe it connects the most to everyone. Maybe not like, what's his name, Jake Wesker, but it's interconnected with Chris, especially Ada. Like, Leon's campaign, if it was only that one in RE6 and they just focus on making a better one, I think you're looking at a lot better game. My personal favorite version of Leon is probably RE4, because that's when he's really stepping into his own and you feel that change that came. I mean, it comes in direct. It happens because of RE2. RE2 turns him into the less trusting, devoted person to stopping this virus from spreading and any viruses. And the experience of Raccoon City obviously made him like way more focused on like saving the world as like a whole than just being like a cop. And then also in RE4, you're seeing him come to terms with meeting Ada again. You're seeing him have to fight his, I don't remember his name, but the guy who trained him and made him into the knife-wielding badass he is, and having to kill him. And his one-liner taking out Salazar Dend actually hits. And then his dynamic with Louise, who feels a bit shady, but he's charismatic, and Leon is as trusting in 4. Like, I feel like the RE2 version of Leon would be a lot more trusting with, like, a Louise character than he is at the start of it. Just because, like, the Game Awards were a couple days ago, and that's when they officially revealed Leon will be in RE9. I'm really excited for that, because probably, I would say, like, if you're just counting the first 6 Resident Evils, Leon is my favorite character. And this might spoil a little bit, but a certain someone comes in the new Resident Evils, and I really like the direction they took that character. So I want to see the interpretation they do with an older Leon, because even in 6, he feels battle-hardened. But now he's like going to be in his 50s. I don't know the exact time from 6 to 9, but it's going to be a long time. I mean, he's looking old in those trailers, but, you know, I'm sure he's still going to be beating people up. It looked like he was using a chainsaw. I'm so excited for 9. I want to see the direction they take Leon. For me, he's not the face of Resident Evil. That's Chris, but I got a soft spot for him. Probably, at least with 4 and 2, those are both some of my favorite Resident Evils, and Leon's a big focus in those. So I can't wait to see what he brings in 9. He had to make the list. I mean, come on.
Look, he might be able to give us a ride.
What if it's not just the city?
Get Sherry out of here.
Come on.
That was Live Another Day by The Great.
He was friendly.
So, is it over?
I don't know. But if it's not, we'll stop it. Whatever it takes.
I got one more final person to add on. Number 101, if you will. I finished, actually, if I really wanted to, I could have had like 5 other characters in this spot, but because I finished a lot of characters, and then as I was playing other games, they would get bumped off the list, or I'd think about a character and they get bumped off the list. There's like so many iterations that have been going on for this list that there's probably been in total about 150 characters on this list at any given not at any given time in the grand scheme of when I was creating it. So a lot of characters got bumped off, but this was the 101, the last cut. Still love this character, but just missed it. So I figured I'll have one additional person.
Your scouting party has not returned, and half of the intruders escaped your guards.
Sorry, mistress. We mucked up.
Until their sanctuary is found, I will take something precious from you every hour that passes. A trinket, a tongue, a limb.
I ain't no use without my limbs. The lad'll make the prisoner squeal soon enough, I swear.
Silence now, creature, or I will silence you forever.
A lot of people playing Baldur's Gate 3 might not even encounter Minthara besides a quick conversation, a fight, and then you kill her. I know that's the experience I've had with my dad, my brother. They don't even really know about her. But if you commit to making sure Minthara's on your team, I think you get one of the funniest, probably the funniest character in the group. And also someone that has an underrated little arc that isn't as fleshed out as the Origins characters because you just spend more time with them. But still is, I would say, like the most meaningful, or maybe second most meaningful of all the non-Origin characters. I think the only other one who might be on that level is like Jaheira. When I first played Baldur's Gate 3, it was at the time when you had to like kind of fidget your way to get Minthara, and you had to like pick between her or Halsing. And when I go into these games, I like to know who the party members are for reasons of I don't want to like accidentally kill them, or I want to know I don't want to miss a party member because that's so crucial to experiencing these games, is getting like the storylines feeding out. So I knew Minthara was a possible person to recruit, and I set out on having her over Halsing. My first playthrough, I let the Tiefling village. We don't speak about what happens to the Tieflings. It was worth it for me, especially I did a recent replay through, and now you can have the whole party together. And while I enjoy Halsing, I found him the weakest member of like the whole entire game, probably even. Whereas Minthara, I think, is the best non-Origin character. So for me, that's an easy trade. If you don't even have to make that choice anymore, but if you had to, I would always say go for Minthara. And regardless, I think Minthara is worth the effort of just making sure you have non-lethal toggled on to knock her out and then go save her in Act 2, because she's a great companion. Again, some of the best one-liners.
I would no more allow a god to shape my destiny than I would a pigeon. You may observe my works if you lack sufficient occupations of your own.
Minthara also has a lot more heart. I like to call her almost like an extreme version of Lae'zel. Like, Lae'zel has a rough exterior, but then, you know, through the story, it kind of gets withered down a lot more. Minthara's never really withered down. She still has that hard exterior. I mean, she has the most... I feel like she's going to punch me when I tell her to not be on my party. She's like, that is a mistake. She was betrayed by Ketheric, by Orin, and that's where a lot of her, like, real core emotion comes from. And she can be very sensitive at those times. You'll never see her cry, at least in my playthroughs, but she'll get a better relationship with characters. I've never seen her, like, hug Gale, but I believe there's a moment where she, like, hugs Gale and tells him if he tells you about that, he'll kill him or something. Like, she can get very personal with the people around her. I have never played like a Dark Urge or / evil playthrough. My next time I play through Baldur's Gate 3, I don't know when that'll be. It might be a long time, but I think that's when I'm going to go like a pure, more evil route, and honestly, that version of Minthara. Because we're going to talk about a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 characters here, but the strength in... I think a lot of these characters from Baldur's Gate 3 is they're very malleable to the directions you take them. So my Minthara is not your Minthara. They will be similar, but at the end of the day, you choose the direction you want to take them. But I have a feeling that whatever direction you take a majority of these Baldur's Gate 3 characters, it will feel genuine to who they are, because it is just a well-written game that can branch in so many paths without it really feeling like it's crumbling in on itself. So that's just more an overarching thought about the whole game. Easily recommend, if you're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and you have never played it with Minthara on your crew, she's one of those characters, you gotta find a way to put her in your crew, okay? She's fun as hell.
I lived a life of privilege and danger. My home was at the tallest point of Kuel Arzor, the place of the nobles. A plateau high above the city's sprawl. I will never tire. I enjoyed every luxury. Dead men's whether harvested in the Underdark or stolen from the surface. And I survived my first assassination attempt while I still suckled at my mother's breast. I tasted her blood that day. She covered my body with her own, and a blade bit deep into her chest, almost puncturing her heart. When I came of age, she tried to take my life herself. And I gave her fresh scars to match those she earned protecting me.